We are in Module 3 of the CHS Training for Quality and Accountability focal points, looking at what you need to know on each commitment of the CHS in order to support your organization's implementation of these commitments. In this presentation, we are going to look at Commitment 9. Commitment 9 of the Core Humanitarian Standard states that communities and people affected by crisis can expect that their organizations assisting them are managing resources effectively, efficiently, and ethically. The quality criterion is that resources are managed and used responsibly for their intended purpose. Commitment 9 links our accountability to effective and efficient use of the resources donated to and managed by your organization. Communities affected by crisis bear the true costs of mismanagement, negligence, or corruption. So it is vital that organizations use resources wisely and honestly in order to ensure maximum impact. Key Action 9.1 requires that organizations design programs and implement processes to ensure the efficient use of resources, balancing quality, cost, and timelines at each phase of the response. In the CHS, the term resources is understood in a broad sense, encompassing what the organization needs to deliver its mission, including but not limited to funds, goods, equipment, time, land area, soil, water, air, natural products, and the environment in general. Staff is covered in Commitment 8. Organizations need to ensure that staff follow organizational processes for decisions regarding the efficient use of resources at each phase of the response. For example, systematically using tendering procedures that balance quality, cost, and timelines. Key Action 9.2 is to manage and use resources to achieve their intended purpose, minimizing waste. This key action also highlights how value for money and the use of resources is monitored, reported, and communicated to program management. Program plans need to indicate how resources will be used. Elements of those plans are to be shared with affected people and relevant stakeholders. Another question is whether cost efficiency, cost effectiveness, and social impact are monitored. Key Action 9.3 is about monitoring and reporting expenditure against budget, and this needs to be done according to recognized financial management good practice. Key Action 9.4. When using local and natural resources, consider their impact on the environment. Do you carry environmental impact assessments and include environmental consideration in the design of programs and activities? Do you consider how the impact on local and natural resources is monitored? What actions do you take to mitigate negative impact? This is closely related to Organizational Responsibility 3.6 on potential and actual unintended negative effects. Key Action 9.5 is to manage the risk of corruption and take appropriate action if it is identified. What processes do you have in place to authorize and monitor the use of funds and resources, as well as to address corruption or misuse of resources? Also, there need to be specific procedures for allegations of corruption. There is also a PACH requirement to fulfill this indicator. Serious misconduct needs to be taken seriously and acted upon and during a verification process. Lastly, the organizational culture is very important to demonstrate compliance. The types of actions that demonstrate whether your staff are meeting the key action indicators of Commitment 9 include project proposals and plans, including with partners, contracts with partners, budgets, financial frameworks, budget to actual variance analysis, financial KPIs, internal and external audit reports and management letters, tendering procedures and reports, procurement, logistics and stock control, program and environmental strategies, travel strategies, environmental impact assessments, CO2 emission reports, environmental KPIs, monitoring reports, results of disciplinary procedures, website, for example, publication of results of investigations, anti-fraud training records. Do your teams carry out these processes in order to ensure your organization manages resources effectively, efficiently, and ethically? If not, there might be examples on this slide that become part of your CHS implementation or improvement plan. Take a moment to write them down. Commitment 9 has one organizational responsibility, but as we have seen with other indicators, it has several components. Organizational Responsibility 9.6 requires that policies and processes governing the use and management of resources are in place. At the organizational level, policies and processes are required for the use and management of each of these, including how the organization A. accepts and allocates funds and gifts in kind ethically and legally. B. uses its resources in an environmentally responsible way. C. prevents and addresses corruption, fraud, conflicts of interest, and misuse of resources. D. conducts audits, verifies compliance, and reports transparently. E. assesses, manages, and mitigates risk on an ongoing basis. And F. ensures that the acceptance of resources does not compromise its independence. Here are some organizational documents that cover these requirements: strategies, policies, guidelines and manuals, terms of reference of key committees, plans on how partners will meet these commitments, such as partner memorandum of understanding and agreements, partner assessments, capacity plans, proposals, plans and reports, budgets. Does your organization have all of this in place? If not, there might be examples on this slide that become part of your CHS improvement plan. Unlike most of the other commitments we have looked at, fulfilling the requirements of Commitment 9 rely on organization-wide adherence to policies and processes, and at the program level, these are not generally contextualized. If a particular operating environment requires a derogation from any of the policies around resource management, that should be signed off at the highest level of their organization's governance, as the risks and consequences of resource mismanagement can be devastating for an organization. While communities aren't expected to know all of the ways an organization manages resources, they will have a perspective that is included in the self-assessment process. They are asked two questions. Question 1. Are you well informed on the progress and results of the program or project? Question 2. In your view, have the services your community receives been provided in an honest way, such as free of corruption or unethical behavior? This has been an overview of Commitment 9 of the CHS. It has also broached some of the realities associated with fulfilling the requirements of the commitment and outlined what comprehensive measures can be taken to include PSEAH. This is the last commitment presentation.